You can be in a room full of friends, in a long term relationship, in a group chat that never is buzzing, and still feel lonely. That's not a flaw, that's information. If you ever looked around at your life, the friends, the coworkers, maybe even a partner, and quietly wondered why you still feel lonely, this is for you. Not the dramatic version of loneliness, the quieter one, the kind that doesn't have an obvious story to go with it. Because here's something a lot of people don't say aloud. You can have people in your life and still feel unseen. That doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It means you bumped into a distinction that most of us were never taught. Being around people is not the same as feeling connected to them. So let's walk through. What does it actually mean to feel lonely when you're not alone? Well, loneliness is not the same as being physically alone. Being alone is a situation. Loneliness is a feeling. More precisely, loneliness is the gap between the connection that you want and the connection you actually have. And that gap can show up almost anywhere, in a crowd, at a dinner, in a long friendship, sometimes especially inside a relationship. When people say they feel lonely, they're usually saying something more specific than no one is around. They're saying, I don't feel known. I don't feel met. I don't feel like anyone's really with me in this. You can be liked, included, invited, and loved and still feel that gap. That's not ingratitude. That's honesty. Why doesn't being around people automatically fix loneliness? Well, that's because connection isn't a head count. Proximity is not intimacy. Contact is not connection. Attendance is not attunement. You can spend a whole evening with people and leave feeling further from yourself than when you arrived. You could text all day, still go to bed feeling like no one actually asked how you were or real. That's because real connection depends on things that don't automatically come with a social care. Being seen, being heard, being responded to, feeling emotionally safe, feeling like you can stop performing. When those things are missing, more people won't fix it. More of the same kind of content just spreads the loneliness thinner. What kinds of loneliness are people actually experiencing? Well, it's to know there isn't just one kind. Social loneliness, the ache of not having a community network you feel part of. There's intimate loneliness, the ache of not having anyone close enough to truly know you. There's existential loneliness, a quieter, deep ache that can show up even in full lives, the sense of being the only one inside your own experience. Most people feel some mix of these, but the mix matters. Each one, what it wants is a different response. Social loneliness wants belonging. Intimate loneliness wants depth. Existential loneliness wants meaning and presence. Throwing more parties at intimate loneliness won't work. Trying to philosophize your way out of social loneliness won't work either. Naming which one is loudest is often the first honest move. So why do so many socially functional adults still feel unseen? Because the modern version of connection has gotten very good at looking like the real thing without always being it. We have endless ways to contact each other, fewer ways to truly reach each other, more social coverage, less social depth, more people who love us, fewer people who know us. A lot of it isn't personal, it's structural. Adult life tends to scatter people, schedules compete, distances grow. The institutions that used to pull people together, neighborhoods, regular gatherings, the casual word places between work and home, have thinned out over time. On top of that, most of us learn somewhere along the way that being liked is safer than being known. So we get good at being palatable and slightly out of practice at being real. You can be very good at relationships and feel starved by them if the depth isn't there. So here's the line worth sitting with. A lot of people aren't socially isolated, they're relationally undernourished. What does this look like in everyday life and relationships? Well, it looks normal usually. It looks like enjoying your friends, but not telling any of them what's actually going on. It looks like sharing a home with someone, but not really sharing an inner life. It looks like making people laugh while quietly wondering if anyone would notice if something was wrong. It looks like being the reliable one, having no one you'd actually fall apart with. You can be lonely inside a good marriage if attunement is low. You can be lonely in a big friend group if honesty is low. You can be lonely on a team if you're always the role and never the person. None of that makes the people in your life bad. It usually just means something is missing in how you're meeting with each other, not in whether you care. So, what actually helps? Well, less than you might think and more than you might expect. First, you have to get specific. Ask yourself honestly, is this loneliness about volume or is it about depth? Do I need more people or do I need to go deeper with the ones I already have? Second, trade some surface for some signal. One honest conversation with someone safe will usually do more than five. Being known starts with being slightly more specific than usual, saying the real thing, asking the real question. Third, put your body in the same room as other humans when you can. Digital contact is useful, no doubt. It rarely carries the full weight of real presence, though. In person, repeated, unhurried time is where a lot of real belonging quietly happens. Fourth, look for reciprocity, not just access. Connect shows where people actually show up for each other, not just where people are technically available. Fifth, reduce the passive scroll. If you're lonely, endlessly watching other people's lives tends to make it louder, not smaller. Less input from strangers, more contact with people you actually know. Sixth, protect real solitude. Solitude and loneliness are not the same thing. Good solitude can actually make you better at connection because you stop needing other people to rescue you from yourself. And finally, be patient with yourself. Adult connection is genuinely harder than it used to be. The fact that you feel this is not proof that something's wrong with you, it's usually proof that you're paying attention. So, if you've been feeling lonely, you're not alone. The most useful thing to know is this: you're not broken, you're not ungrateful, you're not overreacting. You're probably just living in the gap in contact and connection between being loved and being known, between presence and intimacy. That gap is real. A lot of people live inside it without ever having language for it. And once you start, you can see it clearly. You'll start slowly and honestly to close it. Not with more noise, but with more truth.